The only real God is the one that you believe in. Start looking for the God in others. And if you find you're tuning into a wave, well then I don't know much about being saved.
Welcome, everybody.
Hello,
I'm Danny Jones, and this is...
Samantha Jones.
And this is Spiritual Philosophy Chatter with the Joneses. Welcome back if you joined us for episode 1. And welcome first-timers to episode 2.
Yes, welcome everybody.
We're excited. The first one was pretty cool. We had a good time and had some pretty good responses.
Yes, great response. Thank you, everybody. It's been really cool to read the response. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I wasn't.
Well, thank you, everybody, for your feedback. You know who you are. If you didn't and you even gave it a shot, listen to it, thank you. We appreciate it. But definitely some good feedback. So here we are, a week later, episode number 2. And what is this episode we are talking about?
This episode is called What's Next? The Other Side.
/ the other side.
The Other Side.
All right. So, cool. I'm excited about this one. It's not that none of them are
This is a big topic.
It's a big topic.
It
It kind of feel like sometimes it's it's like the elephant in the room. It's the thing that
Yes.
nobody wants to talk about, like death and what happens
Right.
after death.
Right.
What's next?
Right.
Well, would you like to start with...
I do. I want to start with some of the listener questions first before we get into our topic.
Okay.
Because I really thought that these were neat, and I want to make sure that we cover all of what our listeners are interested in. So there's 2 questions that I wanted to share with you. One of them is, have you ever had to pass on a message to a loved one that you didn't want to pass on? And I have. It's only happened to me a couple of times, but the one that stands out to me the most is Melinda, a friend of mine, Melinda. She is an animal astrologer, and I did a reading for her, and I believe it was her father was coming through, and he kept saying to tell his wife that she was going to be joining him soon. And even though that may not sound like a horrible message, it's still a message that's hard to deliver, and I kind of ignored it for a little while, and it just kept coming through. No matter what I did, it kept coming, so I had to deliver it. And Melinda said to me, that is exactly what my mom needed to hear.
Wow.
Yeah. And she said, that's what I was hoping that you were going to tell me. So I learned at that point that I have to deliver those messages. No matter how hard they are, I have to deliver them.
Right.
So, lesson learned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tough.
And that was a great question. And the second question is, how do the messages come to you? So just real quick, I don't want to get into depth about the difference between psychic and medium abilities, but they come in a few different ways. The animals come from messages from the animals directly. They send me pictures, thoughts, sentences. It's a combination of things. As far as medium goes, I get those straight from the spirit themselves. Those come the same way. It can come in the form of a picture or words or, gosh, so many different ways. Smells. Smells are always one of the craziest ones. And then as far as the psychic abilities, those are done off of the person's energy. So I get those, like if I see a picture of somebody, they want to know about certain things in their life.
Right.
I get that information from their energy, and it all comes in the same way. The things that I get, like for us and just general things, they come in differently. Those come in throughout the day without me even trying or expecting. I mean, sometimes we'll sit down and we'll try and I'll get messages, but a lot of the times they'll just come without me even trying.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a wonderful gift.
It really is. I mean, unbelievable to so many degrees, and just to see the difference that you can make in someone's life.
Oh, absolutely.
With this gift is unbelievable.
Yes. I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah.
Yes.
If I could really quick, just to interject one comment, somebody that shared, and I'm not going to really say the name, but this person had, besides me, this was Samantha's second in-person reading.
Yeah. So I would say first for somebody.
Yeah, first besides me,
right.
but her first real one besides me.
Yeah.
So
in person.
In person. This person's husband passed away, and I was not super close with this person, but they were a big part of my life growing up. They were kind of a second mom to me. They were my babysitter for years, and she had kids, and so I kind of helped her with her kids, and she was helping my mom with us. So she came over, and Samantha did it because I asked her to do it, because I could see the pain in the morning she was going through for the loss of her husband, who I also had known. And I felt really compelled just by the empathy, I guess, that I was feeling coming through her posts and stuff, and going, man, I have to do something to try to help her. And so anyway, she just said that, just real quick, that she said, "Hi, Danny and Samantha. I've just been listening to your new podcast, and I'm so grateful to you both. So down to earth and real. Looking at the Beyond the Bridge page, and I realized how amazing you really are for what you did for me and for Richard. Working with her ex, or her deceased husband." And she said that this really changed her life. Her exact words, "That session changed my life." And you know who you are, who said it, and that was just a huge, I think, confirmation for both of us that it's like it can't be wrong. You know, people are touched, and it's a huge gift. So
well, and I think it's important
to
point out something about that reading is that we kind of felt like she was disappointed a little bit when she left, and so we were kind of concerned about that.
Right.
So for us to receive this was not just great confirmation that was good for her, but that I was accurate, because I think that people don't understand how this works, and I don't know that I'm accurate. I have to be told that. Like, I know how the messages come in and what they sound like when they're messages, but if I don't get confirmation from the person that I'm reading for, I don't know. So to hear from her that it was what she needed, yeah. That's
but
exactly
sometimes
what
that confirmation doesn't come right away. It might have to dawn on the person.
Oh, yes.
Or they have to be open to see it or be shown.
Yes.
And then they realize, boom, and they come back to you like she did, and there's your confirmation that, you know, it works.
And sometimes I don't get the confirmation either at all. Like with my dad, communicating with my dad, the only person that I have to really confirm what I get is my mom's best friend, Katie, and she can't remember all these things about him or know all these things about him. So I just have to go with what I get, and that happens sometimes too. But the confirmation does help.
Yeah.
Very much.
So thank you.
Yes, thank
for
you
those
very
that
much.
do that. You know, it really does.
It does. It helps.
Helps you.
Yes. So, anyways, shall we move on to
Let's
the
do
topic
that.
at hand? This is exciting because I love to share my views on this topic. I don't even know where to start with it. I guess we'll start with one of the questions that we received today, and that is there a heaven? And that's a good question because heaven is such a broad term, I think.
Yeah.
So we prefer to call it the other side because heaven, at least for me, I don't know about you, for you, but when I look back at like my childhood and what people said heaven was, I think of these big clouds that we sit on all day with our harps and, you know, our little doggy spirit next to us, and we just sit there all day and we're happy for eternity. Yeah. But that's not realistic, right? Like, who wants to do that for eternity, right?
Right.
So
yeah, it seems like that would get old.
I think so. They say nothing gets old there, but
right.
I think it does. So anyways, so we prefer to call it the other side as opposed to heaven because heaven portrays that more image of clouds and all that, pearly gates.
Right.
So we do believe that there is another side, obviously.
Right.
Let's see, where should we start with that?
Well, I think that that's a common thread. I think with a huge majority of mankind, and you look at a lot of the religions that are out there, most of them believe that there's an end result.
Yes.
Nirvana, a heaven,
Yes.
another side, another dimension,
And I did research
another
on
level. Yeah.
that. I did find it interesting.
Share that research.
Yes, most religions, well, I mean, there's hundreds, if not thousands of religions. So I can't say most, but for the main ones and what the research that I did, I found out that most of them either believe in a heaven, a reincarnation, or something, some combination of them. Most of them don't believe in a hell. It seems like it's mostly the Christian religions that believe in hell. I did not know that the Jewish religion doesn't believe in a hell, and
Right.
I found that very
Yeah, I
interesting.
didn't either. That was wild.
So there were a lot of similarities and a lot of differences. I think did I write down Scientology somewhere? The Scientology one was like the one that blew my mind. Oh, I think that was the one that said
They
that
said
you
that
keep
none
coming
of their
back and
acts,
yeah.
like it didn't matter.
Yeah, nothing you do here matters,
Right.
and you just keep rolling into new lives. And I think that I'm gonna point out, as far as getting into reincarnation, it's not something that we're really going to get into in this topic, because honestly, I'll be completely honest, I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet. Like, they don't just tell me all this stuff. All of the things that we're going to tell you today are things that we've analyzed from information that we've received from spirits that we've talked to, as well as books that we've read and compared the information that we've gotten, and so much of it is exactly the same. So that's kind of the basis of the information and why we won't be really getting into reincarnation.
And what is that? What is that about, the human, I don't know, genealogy, that almost all of these religions and this part of the human existence believes that there is something else? I know that there's a lot of people that are atheists and don't believe in stuff like that, but
Right.
I'm talking about religions per se. Not that we're coming from a religious standpoint at all, but
Right.
I do find it interesting that there is a common thread there.
Yes. I think it's because there's so much evidence that this is not the end.
Right.
That really is the basis of a lot of these religions, is what happens to you after you die. I mean, really look at them. That is the main thread. What happens to you after you die?
Right.
So, let's see. Where should we go from here? What happens during the process of dying? Now, I'll be completely honest. I have never actually been in the room with somebody when they have passed away. I saw my grandmother. I left her an hour before she passed, and I got there within minutes of her dying. And that was a profound moment for me, a very profound moment that I didn't even realize. You and I talked about this recently, that as I sat there and I looked at my grandmother, I kept hearing, "It's just a shell. It's just a shell," over and over again. And I thought it was my own mind telling me that, but now I realize that it was probably my mother telling me the whole time, "It's just a shell." But when I saw my grandmother like that, it was really at that moment that it hit me so hard that this is not the end. I mean, I knew that already, but
Right.
that there was something about seeing her like that made me think that absolutely this is not the end.
Right.
I have talked to a lot of spirits and asked questions about what happens after they pass, and something that I've come to notice is that nobody's experiences are the same. Everybody goes through a similar process, but how it happens is different. Everybody goes through a life review and a reacquaintance with their loved ones, of course. Your loved ones are there waiting for you when you get there. I believe that they start communicating with you before you even pass.
I believe that too. I've I've been in the room once with someone as they passed. My father's sister's husband, my uncle. I was there when he took his last breath, and there was about maybe 5, 6 of us standing around the bed. I can't say that I really noticed anything with him per se.
Right.
He seemed pretty unconscious, eyes closed kind of thing. But they talk about shared death experiences
Yes.
like that, and I'm sure that maybe my aunt probably had some pretty strong emotions that she could maybe even equate to that, but maybe she just doesn't know. Or
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. But
that's a cool topic.
I have been there when I've watched people that are really ill.
Yes,
and
I've
and
too.
I've seen them, and I'm talking about like dying, from cancer, maybe days from death, and seeing them like staring up in an upward way
Uh-huh.
and having conversations.
Yes.
They're not really audible because you have so much little strength
Right.
to actually speak at that point, but they seem so intent
Oh,
on
yes.
this, whatever they're focusing on, and this conversation. So I've seen both of them, and they were both, it definitely was like, there's something else.
Yeah, profound experience.
There's something else.
My grandmother, probably a year or two before she passed, started calling for my mom all the time. Linda, Linda, where are you? And her caregiver would be like, Linda's not here, So we always figured that she just, she was seeing her, and she called for her own mother. And it was that whole, like, last couple of years towards the end, you could tell. Well, my grandmother also was psychic too, although we didn't know that when she was alive. But so she knew when people in the home there were going to pass away. Blew my mind completely. But I still feel like that for most people, that's what happens, if not all. You start to see your loved ones before you pass, so that you know that you're going to be safe and okay. Because for a lot of people, I mean, really for anybody, dying is not like a great thing to talk about. Nobody really wants to go through it because everybody's afraid of what's going to happen and what you're going to next. And I can tell you that for me, this experience and all has changed the fact that I'm not afraid of where I'm going to go afterwards. Am I afraid of how it's going to happen? Yeah, I think
That's
all
more
are.
like the pain,
Right,
like,
exactly.
like maybe a first-time mom worrying about what
Right.
childbirth is going to feel like.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that our loved ones, if they're given if the time, they know that we're gonna go, like my grandma, kind of.
Right.
I think they get us prepared. There was an interesting story I wanted to talk about. Sam Kinison. Do you remember that? We read that when Sam Kinison died, he was communicating with the other side as he was like leaving his body.
Yeah.
He didn't want to go. And he said, I don't want to go. And then he said, okay, I'll go.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
Wow.
one got me. Because it's like, that they're there. They're helping you. They're taking you to make it a better, I don't want to say a better experience because it's a great experience, but comforting, to comfort you.
And it's all part of it. I think
It
that
is.
they're there because it is hard, and they're there to ease you and help you, assist you
Yes.
in that transition.
Animals. Are animals there? Yes, they are. All of our animals are there. And they all know each other too, not just animals, but people. That's a good one that I get all the time is, well, how did Grandma A know Uncle C? Do you know what I mean? Like on different sides of the spectrum, never met. Everybody knows each other. It's not like, hey, I don't know you. It's just like all the souls know each other. Don't ask me how it works, but it does. Same with the animals. Nobody's alone. I get that one too. Like, I don't want my dog to be alone when they cross over. I promise you, they are not alone.
Right.
Like, whoever is the closest to you, because I really feel like my mom takes them. That's, to me, where they'll be.
Right.
What I see.
The Rainbow Bridge.
The Rainbow Bridge, they're waiting. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of when I learned that. Not that learning this for me wasn't super weightlifting, like easing of my soul, but when I found out that some of the, all of them, but some of your most fondest pets, and they'll be there, like waiting for you, thinking you would never see them again,
right?
And how much you loved them, and their personalities.
Yeah. And the animals don't have souls. Yes, they do.
Yeah, this is definitely, actually, even before this, being with you, and kind of what you do with animals and period, for work, just started making me look at them different.
Right.
They're always like my babies, and it was very hard when I'd have to let them go. I mean, very hard. I cried like a baby. But when you came along, I started to see their personalities a lot more.
I know.
And,
I
and
love that.
recognize, their specialness, each one.
Yes.
So when we're talking about, okay, so our loved ones are there, and our pets, our animals are there. And I think also we need to be clear, too, that it's not just your dogs and your cats.
Right.
We're talking like elephants and
and birds.
giraffes and birds. And, I mean, it's pretty much all
butterflies.
there.
I see butterflies there a lot. They show me that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, that all being said and comforting as it is, when we say there,
Right.
we're talking about what's next on the other side.
Right.
My personal belief, and I believe yours as well, is that it is only one place that we all go. That
Yes.
we all go to the same place.
Yes.
We're not a believer in hell and
Nope.
the dark side and some fiery lake.
Nope.
That for us doesn't exist.
Right.
And I'll share with you one reason, and the main reason why that this doesn't exist for me is that when Samantha first had this happen for her about a year ago, there was a couple things, she shared her gifts with you and what she can do. But there was a point where her mom was kind of talking to her, and she said to Samantha, this would be much easier if I could just talk to Danny directly. So when she first said that to me, I'm like, what? Okay. So I don't know if you've ever seen the Hollywood medium Tyler Henry. He does this kind of scribble effect thing on a notebook pad while he's doing readings for people. Samantha does something similar to that. She'll color, scribble, whatever, to kind of focus what she calls meditation.
Yeah.
A state of meditation.
It's a state of meditation.
Therefore, she can kind of step out of the conversation, and instead of just kind of getting little messages here and there from her mom, and this is the only one we've done it with, was
Right.
her mother, is she can actually channel her, and her mother can speak directly to me
Yes.
through her while she's doing this coloring and scribbling.
This is
So, of
true.
course, me and kind of the terror that I've tend to have been in my life, and those of you that know me, I'll push the envelope a little
Always.
bit, push the needle to the red. So I delved into a lot of questions, and we'll get into those things later, but mainly the one thing that I had to know was, is there hell? And am I going there?
That was one of, really honestly, that was like your biggest holdup in life.
Yeah.
Was, am I going to die young, and where am I going?
Right. I was kind of afraid that I wouldn't be around for my daughter, for
Right.
at an older age, and being
Right.
able to see her children and whatever. But also, where I was going, what is after this?
Right.
And once that was made clear to me through her, through Samantha, and with her mom, Linda, it really eased me. And I mean, everybody you've been hired to, whether you do it for free or you do it privately and hired to do a reading for somebody, have you been able to connect to everybody that you have been asked to
Yes.
connect to?
I have never been able
Okay.
to not.
Are
I've-
some of
I've-
those
yes.
people commit suicide?
Yes, I've had a lot of suicides.
Are some of those people, have they committed homicide?
Yes, I've had a few.
So that right there was enough for me to go, okay. If you're
and they're
able
not like screaming and burning in some fiery hell. They're okay. They're happy. They talk about things just like the other spirits.
Right,
It might take a little bit longer for me to connect with them and get a good connection,
right,
but they're there.
right,
Everybody's there.
right.
Everybody.
Yeah, I definitely, your mom, had said in this process that suicide was not a good idea.
Well, no.
It's not encouraged.
No.
it's actually really slows your progress and growth there when you do go there, because you have to deal with a lot of grief that you cause by doing that.
We'll get into that later.
And we'll get into that later. But so that was one thing that I found interesting, because, like I said, where I came from and kind of the religious realm that I delved into for a little while in my younger years was that, the religion that I follow was that if you committed suicide, you go to hell.
Yep.
And I have a very close friend, guy I used to play music with, a drummer named Rob, that did such about 8 or 9 years ago, and I love him and miss him dearly. And now I get to talk to him. It's really wild. And I was so I think that was one of the first people that maybe I asked,
Yes.
Is he there?
And you know what? It's important to point out, too, that I am not the only one that has talked to Rob.
Right.
Because we have another medium friend, Nisha, and
Yes.
she did a
She connected
reading for
to him
Danny,
for me.
and that was who came through for you.
Yeah.
And he is a very, very strong spirit. I feel him very strong. He is very much a player in your life, even though he's over there, and he committed suicide. And so that really tells us that, don't do it. I mean, seriously, don't. But, you're not going to go to some fiery hell if that's your last resort.
Right. And, again, it's not to encourage anybody to ever do that or to go out and harm somebody else, because I don't believe in that whatsoever.
Well, of course
I
not.
believe in live and let live, and live it to the fullest.
Right.
As long as you're not bringing anybody else any grief or pain, and enjoy this life, because it's amazing. And the ones that maybe get robbed of it early, they're living it through us.
They are.
They live vicariously through us, like
They
you
do.
say. Rob's there, and he's a big part of my life. He's helping my process, because this is something he really wanted.
Well, I think that kind of gets into the what do they do
Right.
over there. Well, you know what? Let's talk about where is there, first of
Right.
all, because I think that we keep seeing there.
Right.
As far as what we can figure and what we've been told, heaven or the other side is here.
Right.
It's just another dimension. They can see us. We can't really see them because our vibrations aren't as high as theirs. But I also do feel like even though they're here, they do have someplace else, like another dimension that they can go to,
Right.
if that makes sense, that it's not earthly. We're still trying to really analyze this, but what I can tell you is it's right here.
Well, and your mom had said in one of our sessions that she's able to be in more than one place
Yes.
at once. And I even asked her, what do you obviously, I don't think you guys eat, or do you sleep? And she said, we don't really sleep. We rest. And so Samantha asked, well, or she didn't ask, I asked, well, where, and where do you rest? And she, well, usually around your house or Samantha's brothers. And, I think they want to be around what's familiar, even to have some alone time. But when you say there, it's so... She also said something else to us, was that don't worry about anything that you don't get to see while you're alive.
Yes.
Because you get to see it all from here.
I love that.
So, yeah, and I think, wow. So they are here and there.
They are. And she even said, and I've had other spirits tell me this too, that they go on vacation with us, that they go and experience, like when we went to Disney World, that, she was there for the whole thing.
I mean, they're not like watching you when you shower,
right,
or
no,
maybe
no,
when you're getting down, a little sexy
I
time or something.
Oh, I definitely made sure that wasn't the case.
But, yeah, I mean, they are there. And there is here.
Yes.
But they are definitely in a different dimensional space that we can't really get to. However, going back to last week's episode 1, we did talk a little bit about your senses being heightened and tapping into those extra senses. And I think those people in this world as mortals that are able to do that are somewhat breaking that barrier.
Oh, yeah.
It's like this kind of, I explained it to you earlier today, it's like this thin veil that I can feel it. I can feel it there, but I just can't raise it or pull it to see.
Right.
But I know it's there.
Right.
And so that part is so cool when I think, wow, I could. After we went on that hike the other day and saw the baby rattlesnake, I was thinking, wow, when I die, I can like go out to that meadow and enjoy the scenery, and I don't have to worry about the rattlesnake or the mosquitoes,
Seriously, right?
or a mountain lion or birds or whatever. But anyway,
And remember, she said, "Don't go to Asia." Do you remember that? Like in one of the first sessions that we did with her, she said, "Don't go to
right,
Asia."
well, we're not even going to ask why about that.
But I'm like, half of the Disney parks, if not more, are in Asia, and I'm not going to get to see them. And she's like, "It's okay, you'll see them after." Right. So I'll see them after.
Probably because we're so both pale white, we stick out like sore thumbs. But we'll save Asia for another
And I don't
topic.
like weird foods, so Chinese
So
food,
yeah, I
food,
definitely grew up picturing heaven, like you said, is or the other side is clouds and floating, and but it doesn't make that just doesn't make sense for something.
No, it doesn't at all.
You know, divinity, and as smart as we are spiritually and intuitively, it just doesn't make sense to be floating around for eternity.
So let's talk about what they do all day. And this is very complex. Let's talk about what my mom does all day, because that's probably a little bit different. But I truly feel like my mom spends all of her time, well, not all, but most of it with me or my brother. She has said that all spirits can be in more places, not just one place. They can be in several places at once. Not quite sure how that works. But what I've taken from it is that the majority of their soul is in the place that they're needed to be, and then the other pieces of them are other places. But I have had times where my mom's like, "I'm checking out for the night, have a good night," and I'm like, "Oh, where are you going?"
Right. Yeah, or like Marina's grandma Oma.
Oh yeah, she was
said, I'll be in bingo.
It's like, okay, well, so we know that they still enjoy the things over there that they enjoyed here. They can't obviously take physical action in them,
right.
but like for Marina's grandma, she can watch bingo and they still enjoy it. Like, I really feel like they feel it. Like when we went to Disney World, my mom felt our excitement. Do you know what I mean? Like, she got to experience those things just different.
Right.
And that is really cool. I like that, because I know that there's a lot of things we're not going to get to see in this life, and to be able to see them over there is pretty cool too. And to be able to do it with your family, even though they don't know you're there.
Right.
I sometimes wonder, like, what kind of tricks they play on their family. Like, hello, and they're like waving.
Yeah.
Oh, they can't see me, like you see in the movies. Right. Hello. I don't know. Let's see. As far as the eating and drinking and all of that, they don't do that. They don't. I think that they enjoy it, like I said, on that same kind of level, but physically, no. And one of the questions that was asked we had put on our Facebook, if anybody had any questions, this wonderful woman, Krista, that I have been so lucky to meet after her son passed away. She asked if there are pubs in heaven, because her son swears that there are pubs in heaven, because she can communicate with him herself now, which is wonderful. So she says he has to be playing some kind of trick on me. And I think that the answer to that is, are there pubs in heaven? Yes, because heaven is here. So there's pubs here, but it's not like they go in there and drink and get drunk. But can they go in a pub and watch somebody get drunk? Sure, why not?
Right. Yeah.
Which
Absolutely.
makes me wonder about all the wonderful times that my mom was hanging out with me going, what is she doing?
You better get out of this pub. Call you an Uber.
Uber wasn't around during that phase of my life.
Call you a yellow cab girl.
Call me a Justin
you are wrecked.
or Joe or somebody. Yeah, okay. So we know that they don't drink alcohol in pubs in heaven.
We have a lot of photographs from the studio here where we're doing this podcast from. My band Gypsy Brown also rehearses and records and writes here, and a lot of photographs we've taken in this room, and I can't tell you how many have orbs in them.
Yeah.
And one of the things Rob had said to you was that I'm there a lot because I can't physically do it. I love to be around it.
Yes.
And it really makes sense to me on on a connection level, the bridging the gap between there and here, that if it is a different dimension and their vibrations, are much higher and we can't see them and that kind of thing, how would they communicate with us?
Right.
How would they try to get through to me?
Right.
And the more that I started seeing the synchronicity in the numbers and the music,
Yes.
the lyrics and the way that it comes over you, or sometimes, like I said, these photographs in this room.
Yes.
And it made me feel really comfort. Like,
It
you got
does.
help on the other side. They're rooting for you, and they're trying to
It's
make it
amazing.
happen, your dreams, and
Mhm.
again, free will, baby.
It is. And really, I think, like, I don't want to say goal, but I think that our purpose on the other side is to help our loved ones. Like, okay, so I'm going to tell a story now. I'm going to tell the story that I told you.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yes, because nobody knows this story but you. Unless I tell my brother beforehand, this will be how he finds out. So the anniversary of my mother's death was last weekend, and I went to sloth yoga, and that was wonderful. And on the way to sloth yoga, I heard a lot of mom songs. I always do, but the one that stood out was "Hoobastank the Reason." And I heard it again on the way back, and I was overcome with emotion, even though that's a song that I usually hear once a day at least, sometimes multiple times a day. But it was different that day, and I started hearing my mom, and she told me about that song and why she chose that song, because that song came out 5 months before she passed, and it was huge on the radio at the time that she passed. So it was something I was constantly hearing, and I knew that it was coming from her. I could just tell it was happening at those strange times. So we connected on that song. And I've always analyzed it like, okay, she left because she needed to start over, right? But that day she explained to me that song means something completely, entirely different than I've thought for the last 15 years. And that is that when my mom passed that morning, she was given the option to stay or to go. And she was shown what would happen if she stayed and what would happen if she left. And for the love of her children, she decided to leave because she saw that she could help us more over there than she could here. That if she stayed here, I know most people don't know my mom's story, but she was really having a hard time when she passed. She was sick. She was addicted to morphine, and she was having a lot of money problems. And all of those issues would have gotten way worse if she would have stayed. So for her, leaving wasn't just a blessing for her, which I've always thought it was a blessing for her, but it was in a way a blessing for us. She took what was going to be, she balanced, like, it's going to be hard for my kids for me to leave, but they'll get through that, and I can help them, and I can make their lives better.
So she was, in essence, kind of shown both outcomes, and
Yes.
she chose.
She chose.
That's
to go.
heavy. Just to rewind 3 minutes ago, though, the sloth yoga, as soon as you said that, I had this vision of, like, you in a Sesame Street episode, and there's
Oh, I
Snuffleupagus
wish.
and
And a
Oscar and a sloth.
It wasn't
That's just a
that
whole nother
great,
story.
But it was nice, yeah. I liked
Hilarious.
it. Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, that's a pretty amazing that she was given a choice, and she chose that, which, God, man, I couldn't imagine any mom that would want to leave ever, any parent, but especially a mother.
Yes, but
But knowing that she could do such
yes.
greater things for you guys from there, and she really has. I mean,
Oh yeah,
whoa.
she has. You
Wow.
guys.
I mean, not just
really.
her, but me. I mean, she's
Yeah.
changed my life and opened my eyes through you for a lot. And you can't ever really thank somebody for that
No,
when
you
they're not
can't.
here.
But you know what? She feels almost obligated, is what I got from it, because my brother and I both had tough childhoods, and she wasn't the best mom, and we love her dearly, but she's not the same as she was when she died now. She's a completely different soul. She's grown. She is, and she's just so different. It's like, it's hard for me to recognize her.
Right.
She's just so pure and so loving, and just she would do anything for us, and she did to give her life for us.
Yeah, it's wild to feel at 47 that going through this change and kind of being forced through this what felt like a rebirthing tunnel.
Yeah.
But um, just seeing her involvement in all of my loved ones and families, that are there, friends and family, and how much involvement they really have, and
Right.
what they're doing.
They
and
really do.
if-
They really, really do.
Yeah, I think it's all interconnected. We need, they need something to do, and we need something
Exactly.
to believe in.
They do. And for us, and I've seen a lot of the people that I've read for too, if you look at some things in your life, if you take some major things that have happened in your life, you can see how it's played out and how they have tried to intervene. Now, there's still free will. So, like, my mom has worked with me on this gift, and I honestly feel like for the last year, I have been in school. I have been working really hard, and she's in my head all the time telling me what I need to do next. This podcast, completely her idea. If this is successful, we can owe it to my mom. So she's busy.
Right.
Like, that woman stays
Well,
busy.
not just with the podcast, but about 2 years ago, I lost my job, unfortunately, and was like, okay, what am I going to do? I had spent 13 years with the same company, in the same industry, and again, felt like I was trying to carve my own path or steer my own boat
Right.
completely, and I was going in completely wrong direction.
Yeah.
And then there was some chain of events, things that happened that allowed me and forced me out of that job. And I've always been focused on music and for years, but I've done art and painted also much longer than I've done music. But I put it aside when I started playing music. It became secondary and music became priority. I would still implement art and designing CD covers and logos and things for the bands I play with, but in this process of this spiritual awakening and having these communications with Linda, Samantha's mom, she was saying you're basically like you're on the wrong path. You're putting all your eggs in one basket, and there's no reason why you can't do both. And so I started painting again.
Yes.
And the response has been absolutely
amazing.
phenomenal.
Yes.
I got within a year, had enough pieces and put them in to be approved for an exhibit, which I got to be with a very famous photographer who passed away, unfortunately. But did the first Doors record cover and whatnot. This guy was amazing. So that when she said that you're like on the wrong path, and then I started doing it and seeing the response.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to see any of it, you can check me out on Facebook. I'm going to do a little plug here, babe.
Go for
Sorry about
it.
that, but
No.
yeah, at D Jones Art Collection would be the Facebook page, and then hashtag D Jones Art Collection for Instagram, and you can see my stuff there. But and I'll be sharing the music later, but we're in the midst of working on that right now, so I don't want to give up too much too soon. But check out the art if you're into that kind of thing, and it's very music based. But yeah, she steered me in a direction that I wasn't steering.
No,
And-
not at all.
And so, like you said, she's had to work at waking you up,
Right.
waking me up
Right.
a couple times when you were like, nah, I'm going to do it my way. And then you realize, I'm still headed down the wrong path. And now I see how they intertwine.
Oh,
They
do.
actually cross paths. Both of these paths
Yes.
that I'm on are,
And my paths are crossing
yeah, they're
yours,
all
and it's-
intertwined.
yeah.
And so I go, well,
We're
too bad I
just-
wasted
okay.
the last 13 years.
Oh,
But
yeah,
you know
I
what? That
agree
job
there.
was good to me, and it provided for me and my family,
Yes.
and
And everything
for my
happens
child,
a reason and
so-
the way it's supposed to. So
right.
So
here we are.
Yeah.
Here I am at 47, and
yeah,
it's like starting over.
I hear ya.
But it's been an amazing ride so far, and it's
It
only a
has.
year, so I'm really, really stoked about that.
me too. And it's not like we're special. That's the thing, is that we just learned to listen and to see what was being put in front of us, and the the way that we're guided, and my mom like controls things. Like, if you ever feel like you're forcing something, stop.
Right.
Because they're trying to show you that that's not the direction that you're supposed to go, and I've learned that so many times over the last year. It just really, if you look and you see, they are working for us.
Yeah.
That is what they do over there. Now, I do feel that when my brother and I get there, my mom's job will be done, and that we will be able to, be with her more. She can go and do whatever she wants to do.
But somebody else explained it. I don't remember. I think it was her. I don't think it was Maureen. But I think it was your mom that was basically saying my interpretation of what she was saying, and they don't speak in tongues or French, so it's pretty easy to understand, is that basically every person that's born into this world is born with two spiritual guides. One a female. They try to make it one a female, one a male. So you're kind of a balance. You have a little bit of femininity, a little bit of masculinity. I guess that makes for a well-balanced soul. However, through this process, we learned that one of these times that Samantha was channeling her mother with me, one of my friends, my dear friend's parents, who both passed away, came in. And they brought up his name, so I was like, oh my gosh, it's them, And they were talking to me a little bit about him and just being there for him and always loving him because he's always been like a brother to me. But they said that her mother was very extraordinary because she moved very quickly there, moved up. They said, look at it as like promotions. You move up here. So you're definitely working. You're doing stuff to help mankind on Earth, in the mortal world. And so she moved up quickly to not necessarily replace Samantha's spirit guides.
No, but I think she did.
I think she did.
Yeah.
So for me, like, both of my parents are still living, like I said last week. So I do have family and friends that are there and helping, working for me. But I would say, my understanding, she said, these spirit guides are assigned to you the day you're born, and they're with you till the day you die, or maybe until
your mother
comes in and takes over, tells them to hit the road.
Exactly.
Jack.
Is your name Felicia?
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
So that was interesting, and another example of that is that my daughter's grandmother came through, and so did her uncle, who has passed, both of them. And he said that that's his job. He watches over Marina. Yes. And Marina's actually said to us before that she's felt him.
Yes.
So that was really reassuring. Knowing that when you go, you're going to be put to work and you're expected to excel, and learn, but it's not like Earth work. Yeah, they're not cracking whips, and
you're not getting paid and money.
No.
You're getting paid and watching your loved ones do good and helping them. Now, I often wonder how it must feel for the spirit guides and loved ones of somebody that's not taking their advice and going the complete wrong way, because there is still free will.
Yep.
At any time, I could say, I don't want to be a medium anymore.
Right.
And I could just go and smoke crack somewhere. Sorry to put it that way, but I could. It's my free will to do whatever I want. But I have decided that I'm going to let my mother guide me in whatever direction I'm supposed to go. Maybe I'm crazy for that. I don't think so.
Right.
But I could choose to not at any time.
Right.
And that's where free will comes in.
Yeah, it's a big one in itself.
Yes,
free will,
which will probably be a whole other topic. But let's cover a few other of the questions that we have. I definitely want to get to some of these. One of the questions that I got was about children, about how children, if they've passed in birth or as young children, how do they age and how does that work? And this is honestly something that I'm still kind of trying to figure out. I believe, from what I have seen, I feel like if a child dies in birth, when I go to communicate with them, the age that they would be now is the age that I see them at. I don't know how the process works. I'm assuming that there's learning involved, but they're there, and I do believe that there is a special focus put on the children.
Right.
Like, they take children there just as seriously as we take them
So if
here.
a child's stillborn, it's not there as a stillborn.
Exactly.
It's actually the soul
I'm
that
not
it was
really
meant
sure
to
what
be.
age that it starts at, but
I remember Sylvia Brown. I used to dig her, but she used to be on Montel Williams sometimes, and she would say that everybody sort of showed themselves at about 30 or 40 to her. That's how she saw them.
Right. I see them however they want to present themselves to me. It's not always consistent. Like, sometimes I see my grandma at 70 and sometimes I see her at 20. I don't know why they do it like that. My mom is very interesting because I do tend to see my mom at the same age, and it's not an age that I would have picked for her.
Right.
Because I don't have a lot of pictures of my mom in her teenage years, but like when she was 20, she was beautiful. Oh my gosh. Not that she wasn't later, but she presents to me and to be about her, like you said, 30s or 40s. So I think they can present themselves to us in any way.
Right.
If I see a picture of one, usually that's how the age they'll present themselves.
Seems like
to
their
me as.
prime, what they
Right.
would be in their, middle age,
Right.
prime, whatever.
Exactly. They send us, we have talked about signs. They send us some amazing signs. And if you look for those, if you have somebody that you've lost, you can establish those signs with them as well. It doesn't just have to be things that they send you, but people often ask me, like, what kind of signs? What should I look for? And a lot of times they're simple things, but a lot of times they're more complex. Some of the most simple ones are numbers. One that used to really bother me is my mom died on April 13th, and I hated 13 after she died, and she hated 13 before she died, but that was what she showed me all the time was 13.
Yeah.
So that's become it's our number.
Yeah.
I have several numbers. I've always loved the number 11. It's always stuck with me for whatever reason. I love 1111. Come to find out, my dad died on the 11th.
Wow.
So they do those things, I believe, to show us that it's okay. We don't have to be afraid to die. It's not really a scary thing. It's only scary for us. So don't dwell on it. I mean, it's hard to
It's a
celebrate
simple
it,
way
but-
to communicate, in a sense, because they can't talk to you,
Right.
most of us.
Right.
And they can't make themselves visible, most of us.
Right.
So it's a way for them to just, hello, we're here.
Right.
And for me, it's the synchronicity. I just tend to see the clock, and I don't sit around staring at a clock. I don't even wear a watch.
Right.
I mean, I have one on my phone, but I'm not staring at the clock on the phone. But I
Right.
tend to always look at the time when it's either 1:11,
Yep.
2:22,
Yep.
3:33, 4:44, 5:55. I mean, I was waking up almost consecutively for a couple nights there
I remember.
at different hours on those times.
Right. They will also send you signs of the direction in which to go.
Right.
When Danny and I first started dating, it was a tough decision because I had only been out of a divorce for a couple years. I didn't really know if I was ready to date yet. He was just new out of a divorce. It was a sticky situation, but there was something there that was pulling me towards him. And his daughter's name is Marina, and that's obviously not a common name. And I remember one day in particular, I was working at Disneyland. I used to do tours there, and I kept seeing this one girl all day with a button that said "Happy Birthday, Marina." And it was like, how is this girl following me all over Disneyland with this name Marina? And it just kept happening in other places. And so it's those types of signs that I feel that they show us to push us in the direction that we're supposed to go. Now, I will say that sometimes they push us in a direction that at that time may not seem like it's where you're supposed to be going,
Right.
but it's actually taking you on to the next step. I've been in relationships that I was shown this is where you're supposed to be right now, but that's not where I was supposed to be in the future. So then they help to move you along.
Right.
If you watch these things and you pay attention, they really can guide you through some of the most difficult times of your life.
And the interesting part about that story is that on that Disneyland trip, you were seeing that name, constantly throughout the day. And the funny part is that you had friends that you were talking to, about us, and a lot of them were like, "Oh, he's a bad boy. I don't know about him.
boy,
He's
yeah.
a musician, rocker, bad boy." So to be seeing that sign while you're hearing these messages
Right.
on a mortal side.
Right.
You're seeing these signs. It feels like you're torn. Like, well, I don't know, but there's some reason. And
that
let me
wasn't
tell
the
you,
only sign. Let me
yeah,
tell
I mean,
you.
let me tell you, it's not a bed of roses. I mean, we've had to work at this, but I
Yes.
feel like it's come a long way.
Yes. We
A
were
long way.
definitely put together for a reason.
Yes.
And she made
Now I
sure
can
that
see.
was going to happen. Now it's clear. Back then, maybe it wasn't. I mean, back then, my whole divorce and all of the things that happened afterwards, if I obviously I only have a few more minutes here before our hour is up, but I could fill a whole hour full of what happened in those next couple years to bring me here to you, to
Right.
bring us to where we are. And she did that. She guided us, and they do that for all of us if we just look.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about a couple other signs that we've seen, just big ones to kind of give some examples of things. When we went to Florida to Disney World to get married, I don't really like to fly. I don't like the takeoff. I'm fine after the takeoff, but I get a little bit nervous. And I was very nervous on our flight leaving. And we sit down, and for whatever reason, I reached into your seat pocket in front of you, and I pulled out a stoop waffle cookie. And my family is from Holland, and so we always ate stoop waffles. That's one
yeah.
of those delicious cookies. My grandma had just passed a few days before, so I thought it was coming from her. I think now it was from my mom. I don't think she could communicate that soon, but it was definitely a relax.
Right.
It's going to be a good trip. I knew immediately when I saw that cookie that it was relax.
Right.
And then we had one that, probably one of the top ones that's blown my mind, that happened to us the other day. Do you want to tell that story? You're a better storyteller. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. So we went to this festival called the Magic Bus Experience, and there's a lot of different rooms that you can go into there, and different experiences. And there was one that we hadn't seen yet. It was the last one, and we were like, "What's that over there?" And it was an all-white room covered in white paper, and there were two guys that were also dressed in paper.
They look like stormtroopers.
Yeah, they looked like stormtroopers, but not quite so snazzy. And they didn't talk, and you could write on them. So anyways, we walk into this room, they hand us markers, and Danny goes over to the guy and starts drawing on him, writes "Hello, friends" or something, right?
Hello, friend.
Right. And I'm writing on another area of the room. Anyways, then I go and I'm looking for another place to write, and one of these stormtrooper fellas takes me over to a shelf where there is a unicorn drawn and the name Linda written in purple. And my mom's name is Linda, and purple was her favorite color. And yeah. Yeah, it was a white room. It's not good because my brains went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty wild.
That was wild.
And I went like, whoa, and I looked at him, and
Yeah.
he's like,
He's like,
like he knew exactly
totally knew what he did.
what he was doing.
I walked around the rest of the day like, what?
I wanted to
happened?
rip the mask off and be like, who's under there?
Right.
Who are you?
Who are you? Who sent you?
Send me to your leader. TK421, why aren't you at your post? All right, well, we got a couple minutes left here, so wow, that flew by again.
It
I
always
was like,
does.
I thought can't shut us up once we
you
start.
really can't. I mean, sometimes we sit and do this for 3-4 hours
Right.
at night, and we're like, whoa, look.
Yeah, we don't want to do these podcasts that long each episode because we might lose you. So
Yeah.
we'll try to keep it to each one close
Yes.
to an hour. So
We hope we covered all your questions. I think that we covered everything we had
it's not
talked
like we
about.
can't come back and do a part 2 on things if we feel
Well,
like we
of course
didn't
not.
cover a lot. But I feel like we did cover.
It's a big topic, and we definitely understand that there's a lot of different types of people out there, and
Right.
we're not aiming, we're not aiming to change anybody's religious
Nope.
beliefs. I honestly believe that religion is important. I believe everybody should believe in something. It really is important to help you through this life. I don't care what religion you are. I still like you just the same. And
Yep.
and we're not doing this for that reason. We want to help people to not be afraid of what comes next.
Yeah.
We want to help connect them to their loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
We come in peace.
Yeah. Exactly. Hey, if we don't see eye to eye,
That's
see
okay.
you on the other side.
Right. Or
Because it's all going to be good.
right. It doesn't matter.
Well, we do have a couple minutes left here, and you've got some things happening. So I thought you might want
do.
to share those things and also, plug your pages again for
Uh-huh.
our new time listeners that don't know where they can learn more about you
Yes.
and stuff.
So this Sunday, which is April 28th, I will be doing a medium circle at the Simi Valley Library from 2 to 4. There's still a few seats available, I think. If anybody wants them, just message me. My email is beyondthebridge11@gmail.com. And then as far as our pages go, so I have my website, which is SamanthaJonesPsychicMedium.com. I also have a Facebook page for my psychic business, which is Beyond the Bridge 11. And then we have our podcast page, which is Spiritual Philosophachatter. So it's facebook.com/Spiritual Philosophachatter.
With the
Well,
Jones.
the small wording of it that you can search it
Gotcha.
as, if you put
It'll come up like that.
It'll come up like that. But the whole name is, yes, Spiritual Philosophachatter with the Joneses.
Cool.
You can search that as well. And you can find our old podcasts under that name on SoundCloud and Spotify.
Buzzsprout.
Yep, we're getting them all out there.
Yeah,
So.
we're getting them out there.
Yep.
Obviously, we didn't have a guest this week. That's okay.
Yeah.
But that's another reason why she's giving you these pages. If you have topic suggestions you would like to hear discussed, questions about something, want to be a guest, you have some music that you'd like to share, please hit us up.
Yep.
Let us know.
Love to hear
That's
it.
what we're looking for. We're just trying to make friends.
Yes.
That's my motto. Hello, friends. So, do it, please.
Yes.
We're into it, and we're having fun with it, and we're meaning no harm. We're just sitting here talking about the elephant in the room, folks.
Yes, we are.
But we are going to share some music this week. I did want to really touch really quick on our theme song that we have every week, and that was written by a very good friend of mine, Adam Goodale, and performed by a Damn Good Ale band. That was recorded back in, I think, about 2007. But Adam is a great songwriter. You can check him out on Facebook, Good Ale Arts, or A Damn Good Ale, both those pages on Facebook. This week, I'm going to play not that song in its entirety. I'd like to save that for a time where he could either come in and talk to us about
that'd
that
be cool.
song and share with us his influence and where he was coming from with it. But we're going to share this week a different song from him that's called Jam. I performed on both of those songs with him. We recorded those, like I said, back in 2007 with John Baffa at TV Trace Studios. So thanks, John. I still enjoy him. And so we're going to hear Adam Goodale right now.
Hey, Adam.
And this song is Jam. We want to thank everybody for tuning in with us,
thank you
spending
for
your hour
listening.
with us.
Yes.
It's been a pleasure. Please tune in next time. There's more coming.
Please, we got lots coming, lots of more interesting info and anything that you guys want to talk about. Send
All
me a
right.
message.
All right. Well, everybody take it easy.
Yep.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Jam when you wanna get high. Jam when you're all alone. You just jam when you're grooving. Damn, I jam just to get by. Now I'm gonna tell you one more time, and then I'm leaving it up to you to decide. Now feel when you're in the mood. You better feel when you say I do. You just feel when you wanna cry. Feel when it's time to say goodbye. Yeah. Now somebody come and cut me from myself, 'cause I don't wanna feel anymore. No, 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 no. Shoot it up my head. about everything in between. You just think about the hereafter. Think about what does it all mean. Yeah. Now somebody coming